We believe from Accenture that any data lake strategy you build in, any solution you build in, it has to be built on top of a foundational layer. Now, the foundational layers can be pretty tricky, and we'll talk about that. So what we have done is we have implemented an end-to-end solution that can create that solution for you, that can create that pipeline for you automatically just by answering a few questions. And once you create the pipeline, we can deploy the pipeline for you. Instead of creating a Hadoop-based solution, you get a serverless data lake strategy on cloud automatically delivered to you. So IDF stands for Intelligent Data Foundation. This foundational layer can be used for designing and implementing any use case you think about, which is an analytical use case. So this is a patented solution. We have patented this last year, and we have been already talking to a lot of our clients. We have deployed this in many locations, and this has become a key differentiator for us in many different ways. Now, when we talk about a data pipeline, we're not talking about just an ETL. We're not just talking about a particular scenario of creating and stitching together a couple of data transformation strategies, but we find that these are the common practices, challenges a lot of our clients are facing. Do you want a well-governed data lake? Do you ensure that your data pipelines are governance-oriented and you're not thinking about governance as an afterthought? So we highly believe that governance should not be an afterthought in your data lake. Rules engine, we have been seeing a lot of struggle with our clients building a large-scale rules engine solution for them. And we have created a rules engine from scratch, which is based on Spark, so it is an automatically parallel process rules engine that can run thousands of rules massively and parallelly. We talk about compliance engine. So compliance engine for us means a lot about your automated policies. We understand your data, we understand the metadata as the data comes in, and basically based on the metadata, we run a huge amount of compliance strategies on the data automatically. Again, as I said, IDF is all about intelligence and automation, and all of these is going to happen automatically for you as the data is progressed. We talk about data quality engine and anomaly detection engine, so that becomes a part of your data lake strategy. As your data is promoted automatically, we apply data quality and data compliance strategies. We talk about a centralized metadata. We have seen a lot of metadata tools in the system in the market today, and we have not found a metadata-enabled system which integrates with your pipelines. And we have built something for you that ensures that all the metadata is eventually captured, analyzed, and these metadata drive those policies for you. So for example, you might load a data set. We might automatically find that your data set contains PII, and based on the PII tags, we might call the compliance engine to mask or decode or encode the data. So all of this is happening internally and automatically for you based on the pipelines that we're creating. We have a policy manager. The policy manager allows you to write any number of policies in the data lake without touching the code. We have an UI. I'm going to have a live demonstration about how we do it. It's very easy about going ahead and filling in a series of rules, and those rules will trigger a series of policies that can be applied as your data is automatically promoted. We have feature engineering and model management, so we highly understand that your data lake is not isolated. Your data lake has to feed your consumption patterns, your data lake has to feed your provisioning patterns, and we have different kinds of consumption and provisioning patterns that can automatically get triggered based on the pipeline. So for example, you curate a huge amount of data, we can help you create a feature set which can translate into data science workflow. Or you can curate a set of data and you can translate that into a data warehouse or a data vault or something that is more contextual in nature. So if you see, the entire journey starts by being very simplistic and automatically it gets into something very contextual and very use case driven. So this becomes a one-stop solution for you because you do not have to now think about individual components. Each of the components are triggered and are assembled together in a single workflow that is deployed in one click. Right? Questions? All right. Now what do we do? This is a little bit of the secret sauce that we have behind the scene. One of the slides that we really like to talk about. So this is what IDF is, a blueprint of IDF. Now what this does is we have something, when we talk about IDF, Intelligent Data Foundation, we provide you two deployable ready components. We provide you a backend component, we provide you a UI component. The UI component is all about your governance in a box. We talk about how do you enable pre-ingestion, how do you enable onboarding, how do you enable right management of the data, how do you ensure that your data that comes in is regulated, who wants to bring in the data, why do you want to bring in the data. These are all everything being answered by your governance in a box through the UI portal. So all you have to do is to start answering a few questions in this portal, and as you start answering the questions in the portal, we automatically generate a script for you. And that script is just a JSON file. The JSON file contains all different components that needs to be called as your data needs to be executed. So this pipeline is deployed and the backend code is executed one by one. So what we have is we have a universal ingestion capability. We can ingest a lot of different kinds of data from different places. We have intelligent metadata extraction engine, the one that I talked about, the patented metadata extraction engine that can extract a lot of the data that it comes in. We tag the data, we create a profile and catalog of the data. All this data, metadata is now available and searchable through an API. And these metadata call AI and ML tagging algorithm. This algorithm can find if your data contains PII, if your data contains PHI, if your data contains non-compliant information that you really need to take action upon. So once you call the third component, what we do is it again calls the fourth component, which is a rules component. The rules component automatically, based on the AI component, takes action on that particular suggestion. So if we find a PII, the action will be to mask it or tokenize it. If you find sensitive information, then probably we can encrypt it. So the decisions are being taken by the AI ML classification piece of it, but the actual execution is done on the rules and compliance engine part of it. Then we also have a data quality and anomaly detection engine that can improve your data quality, that can take care of a lot of the KPIs that you have, and then actually put everything back into the central metadata repository. We also have the data science model and production engine where you can create automated feature engineering. You can go ahead and start creating these data pipelines that can basically trigger your data science workflows. And eventually we have data provisioning and consumption engine where the data that you have ingested through the pipeline can be converted into a contextual solution, which can be a data hub, data lake, data warehouse, data vault, or anything that you really want. And we have n number of possibilities on the direction, starting from creating a customer 360 profile genome like a graph database, or you can create a data warehouse using any technology like your redshifts, or you can create any non-relational data source as your provisioning layer through the same flow. So you can just select what you want in the UI. This entire pipeline gets created, executed, and implemented as a part of your one-click, one-stop solution. So this is, I really want to talk about this. I do have a small demo that talks about how we do it. But before going to the demo, if somebody has questions, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Okay. Now this is the UI I was talking about. If you see the UI itself is serverless, we have deployed the UI in S3. So we do not actually need any EC2, we do not even actually need any container to run this. It's actually deployed as a part of S3. This is the front end that gets deployed, and we also have a backend that also gets deployed as a part of IDF. Now I can log in as different users. I can select from the roles, and my role is aligned to my data governance rules. I can log in as a data owner. I can log in as a business steward, data steward, or a person who provisions the data. So if I log in as a data owner, what I have is I can do a lot of things. I can do the foundational layer, which is my data onboarding as batch, or data onboarding and streaming, or I can do the contextual layer, which is more towards data provisioning and consumption. Let's start by the batch. If I be in the batch section, what happens is, all these components we talked about, these are now available here. As a part of my data engineering pipeline, do I want to stage the data? Do I want to capture the metadata? Do I want to ingest the data, create the rules, policies, and do data quality analysis check? I can select it here. For certain data sets, you might not need one or the other. If the data is coming from RDBMS and you're pretty confident about the data for a particular source, you might not need the data quality check, and we're okay with that. So everything is pretty optional. How do you want to create your own data pipeline is up to you. You only have to select this and say, let's do that. And we give you a series of questions to fill up. So first questionnaire is all about your business properties. These business properties are all towards the governance in a box we're talking about. Who wants to get in the data? Why do you want to bring in the data? Who has the reason of bringing in the data? What kind of use cases and solutions you really want to solve with the data? These are the kind of questions we're trying to get answers to, so that we know that the data that you're trying to bring in into your data lake has a reason, and your data lake is not going to turn into a data swamp, but just because everybody got access to your data. The second question is all about the metadata. So if you have terabytes and terabytes of data for creating a profile and catalog, you probably do not want to scan terabyte of data. So we give you options how much of data you really want to scan. So if you have terabytes of data, then probably even a 10% of that is good enough. We also have questions about if you do not have headers in your data, if your data is unstructured, if your data is not textured at all, how do you go ahead and handle those? So we ask you questions, and you can keep answering them, and just by answering them, we can take a decision internally through intelligence what should be the process of creating a data pipeline for you. Data staging is sometimes required. A lot of us do not have access to production systems, or the production systems do not give you the intention of connecting a live pipeline. So for those cases, we do have staging. Staging enables you to have the data in a drop zone, so that you can get the data from the drop zone instead of connecting to a live production system. So if you want to have a staging area in your system, that you basically answer a question, and will ensure that your ingestion has a prequel to it, which is a staging, and after staging we ingest the data. The ingestion itself talks about different ways of ingesting the data: structured, unstructured, semi-structured, all your streaming data, non-streaming data, and so forth. The rules engine part I talked about, we have different sets of rules that you can keep in. So let me give you a quick demo. So right now we support something like replace partial, compliance, and functional rules. Let's go with compliance rules. If I go with compliance rules, then I can select different kinds of rule and strategies, and I can keep on registering new rules here. So I do not have to go and change one single line of code for creating the data pipeline. I can just go ahead and say, I want to create a replace rule, and the replace rule I can create if I know the name of the column, or even if I do not know the name of the column. I can say that the name of the column is unknown to me, create an alias. So that means I do not know if my data contains SSN, but if there is an SSN pattern to it, then apply a rule. So this becomes very easy for me, because and you can keep on selecting as many number of tags as you want. The idea is these are all alias-based rules. You might not know the name of the columns, you might not know the name of the headers of your data fields, but you can now specifically talk about patterns, and you can say that if I find that kind of a pattern, then apply a masking rule. If you find a different kind of a pattern, then apply an encoding rule, and so forth, right? So your rules are not specifically tied to the name of the header, it's not specifically tied to the name of the known columns, but it can be very much pattern-based. So we actually support any kind of rules which are more curated rules, as we say. This is not a business rules engine. We have a business rules engine I'll talk about, but this is more towards your data curation rules engine that transforms your data and promotes your data and ensures that as your data is promoted, your data is compliant, and it is available for people downstream to use and access the data. So there are endless possibilities what you can do with this rules engine, and again, this rules engine is absolutely zero code. You can keep on adding new rules in the data set, apply new rules, new capabilities in the data set without even touching one single line of code in the backend. And eventually what we also have is a data quality engine. Again, you can keep on answering questions here. By answering questions, you can keep on generating new data quality rules, and these data quality rules will be applied as your data is created. So once we have filled up the entire questions, here we have 6 questionnaires, I can preview the JSON, and this is how the magic happens. If you see, this is how the entire pipeline was created for you. First part, staging. Second part, post-staging. Third part, an ingestion process. Fourth part, your metadata extraction. Fifth part, the rules that you really want to run. The sixth part, the data quality engine. Seventh part, we have something which is contextual, convert the data into Hive or Athena. And eventually, if something goes wrong, we have an alert monitoring system. So the point is, just by answering a few questions, you create a workflow, and this workflow, what you can do right now is to preview it, but if I submit it, you can see that a workflow gets created, and the workflow will be available for another user, which is a business a business steward or a data steward to actually go ahead and approve. So this is what I have. So I have a new questionnaire that I need to approve. So this is the governance piece of it. So as long as I have a new request and the new request is not approved, I cannot download that automated JSON that can be deployed. So all I do is I log in here as a person who is a governance expert. He logs in there, he looks into the questionnaire, he has a lot of these validations to do. Once he does it, he can go ahead and approve it, and the moment he approves it, it downloads that JSON file and deploys it as a part of the backend ID process, the triggers of all the 6 steps that we wanted to do. So for every single data source, your data will be staged, then ingested, your metadata will be captured, your profile and catalog will be created, your data rules will be executed, your data quality engine will be executed, and eventually you'll get the data into a structured format if you want. And that all happens just by answering a few questions in that UI. Right? So before I wrap it up, I really want to talk about some of these UI capabilities. And so there are a lot of things capable, all the capabilities here with IDF, but I really want to talk about the backend database of the metadata. So the backend database of the metadata is Elasticsearch, and if you see, just want to give you a view of it, all different kinds of tags and patterns we were able to extract. So we automatically extracted the data contains rating and money pattern and review and timestamp pattern. Our business classification engine already classified the data as shared, and it says there is no PII or sensitive information in there. If you look into it, there are thousands of technical metadata, column correlations, standard deviations, the rules that we applied and what kind of rules got executed. And if you look into it, there are thousands of different attributes that we captured, and we try to compare this with a lot of different metadata tools in the market today, and we find that this actually extracts a lot more metadata when you talk about a big data lake strategy. Right? So with this, I'll wrap it up. What I really want to do is to see if there are some questions, if your company is struggling with something very similar, and if you want, we can always connect back. We can have a one-on-one deeper discussion, deeper dives into what is IDF and how IDF can actually help and automate your entire data engineering pipelines. Thank you.